Hey critics, and welcome back to the Critic Chronicles YouTube channel where you get commentary, reviews, and tabloid news. I'm your host, Patricia Hartley. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Hey critics, you know what time it is. It's time for critical news you can use. So y'all know that on yesterday, I actually uploaded a video with commentary regarding Tyra Banks and sort of the controversial criticism that she's been getting about sort of her point of view when it comes to her experience on America's Next Top Model, some of the decisions that was actually made. I'm going to go ahead and link that actually in the show notes. That way I'm not repeating anything. But overall, I wanted to know, once you listen to the video, you'll know, I wanted to know what happened to actually the judges. But there were a few judges that we didn't actually hear from that it's kind of popular. So I do want to bring that up. Janice Dickinson, I don't think I've heard anything, from her as it relates to her being a part of this particular experience. I would want to know. I know that there were some things that happened in the meantime and in between time, or, between her and Tyra, but I would have been interested to hear a little bit from her specifically around this incident as well. Kamora Simmons at one point in time was a judge. You also had Twiggy, Andre Leon Talley. I do wish Andre Leon Talley was on there a little bit more. I feel like there was a different respect, it seemed that she actually had for Andre Leon Talley. But you know what happens? A lot of the times when we work with people, there is, yes, that level of respect, but as you work with people for an extended period of time, you kind of get to know them, you loosen up a little bit. Sometimes, you just got to remind folks of either like those boundaries or, always trying to remain professional. But when you have a history with people and you've known them for like 20 years, because now I've lived long enough to be like, oh my God, like, baby, I have known you a long time. So yeah, anyway, but I just wanted to kind of and Ashley Graham real quick. So, Ashley Graham, as a reminder, she was on Today with Jenna and Chanel, and she actually gave a little bit of feedback. Now, for the most part, I will say that she said she was glad that Tyra was taking responsibility, but not everybody feels like Tyra is taking responsibility in the way that they think that she should. Now, we're going to be listening to the footage from Entertainment Tonight because they actually did an interview around the judges, because y'all know I'm nosy and I wanted to know what the judges was doing and where they were at. And so ET must have heard me. They must have heard me, baby, because they did actually end up sitting down with judges. Now, I do not have YouTube Premium, so I will admit to you that I probably will have to, do a little bit of improv during the time where it might be a commercial. So that's just a little fair warning. But yeah, shout out to Entertainment Tonight, their YouTube channel. That's where we're going to be listening to this footage from. It's about 8 minutes, 9 minutes or so. But we're gonna just do like a quick little critical review. So let's get it started. Let's get it started.
It's a little difficult for me to talk about production because that's not my territory.
We were all rooting for you.
But I did become a master editor.
Look at this waist. You have the smallest waist in the world.
Yeah, there's some dumb.
Tyra, she seems to struggle with taking accountability. She essentially blames the viewers.
You guys were demanding it.
So that's what they mean. So when people say things like, Tyra, she did apologize more than a couple of times, about things. However, she kind of counteracts that with the fact that she says the viewers wanted more. We just kept being more demanding. And actually, I don't doubt that. I think that definitely is some truth when it comes to that. However, what the judges are gonna say, which you'll hear here in a moment, is basically, yeah, she apologized, but did she truly take responsibility? They feel like she's actually still making excuses. Let's keep it moving.
Viewers wanted more and more.
I believe Tyra believes that statement to be true. She can tiptoe and dance around Story and saying, oh, Story's not my department. She was very involved in Story. I'm just going to say that.
I do think that regardless of whether someone asks for something or wants it, again, acting as an adult that's responsible, you also say no to certain things, even when they want it, right? Mom and Dad, we say no.
Tyra, did she have any creative control in this docuseries?
None. Zero. Tyra had no creative control.
Hindsight is 20/20.
So we hear the fact that it's obvious that Tyra had no control, not director, not producer, not executive, not nada. So everything that really came from this documentary came from a point of view that is not anything that is behind the scenes regarding a thing that Tyra could, manipulate, right? So again, I do feel like she didn't run away from this. She actually sat down to talk to them about it. So let's keep it moving.
For all of us. It just so happens that a lot of the things that are 2020 for me happened in front of the world.
Tyra in the hot seat. The 52-year-old actually apologizing several times over the 3-episode docuseries, which was shot a year ago. Once to the contestant she pressured to close a gap in her teeth.
There were agents that would tell me she will not work with those teeth. It's just not going to happen. That's what they told me.
Who came up with what?
Okay, so going back to that real quickly, when she was talking about the gap in the teeth. So it does sound like Tyra made a lot of decisions based off of the modeling agencies at the time, sort of like their recommendations, what they thought would look good, in the industry, all of the things. And then we also hear Tyra basically say she was looking out for what she felt, yes, was in the best interest of, yes, the models, but there were times that mistakes were made. Let's though hear from Mr. Jay Manuel.
Of the makeovers would be.
It was absolutely Tyra.
Another moment Tyra admits went too far.
We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
I lost.
Y'all know I'm guilty. We finna hear what Tyra had to say about that, but y'all know if you listen to the commentary I did yesterday or the day before yesterday about Tyra and her being a part of this documentary. That is one of the ones I think she should have kept, but it sounds like behind the scenes she just wasn't very nice to Tiffany, and I believe Tiffany has actually released a statement or made some commentary around that whole experience with Tyra, saying that it was traumatizing for her and that Tyra didn't talk to her right, basically, essentially. And there are critics who believe that Tyra, based off her own biases, that she is the one who sort of sometimes projected on some of the girls and did not specifically treat some of the black girls fairly. Shout out to Bondy Blue.
It was probably bigger than her.
Clearly, she had a sort of a snap, and that was it. And I actually thought they were going to stop it. It was the same rules for everybody. If you're going to go off the rails, we're going to allow it, and we're going to film it, and we're going to put it on TV.
And when it comes to the outrageous, over-the-top photo shoots, remember the tarantulas, the meat outfits, coffins, and crime scenes?
I absolutely believe the intention behind the show got lost. I think it's clear in the documentary. For me, the real breaking point and the immediate moment of divide was the race-swapping photo shoot. I remember vividly that meeting where Tyra said, I want to do this, and I want to do this to celebrate women of color.
Now, if Tyra said that, I don't know what was going through her emotions or her mind. And I realize now that happened during, I think they said season cycle 4 and like another one at season cycle 12 or 11 or something like that. But those were not seasons that I was watching. But of course, it was one of those things that made the news. So even if you didn't watch the show, you definitely heard about the incident. Okay. It also sounds like one of the breaking points. I've reached a breaking point, Lord, Lord, Lord. Okay, not a breaking point. It's really a turning point, but had to make it my own. It also sounds like this was a turning point, or a breaking point, for Mr. J, who basically says that race, and controversial, hey, Tyra wanted to celebrate women of color, so she's gonna, put folks in blackface. He said that basically was the part where he was like, and that was a true transition for them.
And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, and I'll be honest with you in that moment, because people ask me all the time, why didn't you say something? Well, I was here to support her. This was her show. She had this reason that made no sense to me. How are you going to support and uplift women of color by painting white women black? Tyra swore to me I would not wear this. She goes, Jay, I would never do this to you. I'll say this. If she really wanted to protect me, she would have stood next to me and delivered that creative. The clip that has followed me to this day is me standing alone on camera. Chiron, photo shoot creative director, and people knew I was producing as well. We're switching your ethnicities. And so I wore that.
I didn't think it was controversial with But then we put it out there, and the world was like, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind?
Tyra did.
So we do hear Tyra basically, yes, taking responsibility for it in a sense, but she says she innocently sounds like she didn't know that that's what would come out of it. But she realized once she put it out there, during the time that she put it out, not right now in the future, but even during the time that she put it out, that was a problem, and it was not at all okay. And I don't know if she, really thought about the historical component that kind of goes around that in blackface. When you're a part of theater, that's a part of some of the history that you actually learn. But, some of the, blackface, some of the, minstrel shows and things like that just was really inappropriate, disrespectful. But again, we hear Tyra saying that she at the time wasn't thinking of it like that. Let's keep it moving.
Pride herself on coming up with the creative on the photo shoots, perhaps sometimes with various other members of the team.
Looking at the show now through the 2020 lens, it's an issue, and I understand 100% why.
I've never experienced a more difficult work environment, a more toxic work environment than that show. It wasn't right then, and now we're seeing it isn't right now.
Look back with hindsight, it's certainly easier to judge and be critical. That being said, were there things that perhaps, she got carried away or the production got carried away? I would say yeah.
So we actually hear them talk about the fact that they do believe that, yes, production got carried away, but there may have actually been times where, maybe Tyra wasn't aware, but there were times where she actually was aware. But again, Tyra always follows it up. Tyra good. She always follows it up with like, girl, like, I realized it was, it was like this very like, no, I didn't know, but I apologize about that. I realized that was wrong. She doctoring it up, baby. She doctoring it up. It doesn't make it right. However, in terms of her responses, again, she didn't run away from this. She actually decided that she was going to face it. It's not our fault that she's able to be media trained and she knows how to respond. It is controversial with some of the ways that she's actually responding, but if what she's saying is true and she really didn't know, then there's a level of understanding that can be had with that. But if you don't believe that she is telling the truth, then you don't believe her.
Is by somebody calling you out on your
Where Tyra stayed quiet, Season 2 contestant Shandy Sullivan alleges she was sexually assaulted after a night of drinking.
So this is actually the story of the young lady that I believe had a challenge that was on the show. And sorry about that, y'all. Had a challenge that was on the show. And during that point in time, it was given the impression that she cheated on her boyfriend. But the truth of the matter is she was actually sexually assaulted. And the show did not handle it properly. Let's take a listen.
While cameras were rolling.
I was blacked out. No one did anything to stop it. And it all got filmed, all of it.
It's a little difficult for me to talk about production because that's not my territory.
First of all, she struggles to remember it, which I find hard to believe because how many times did she bring Shandy on her talk show to kind of force her to watch that scene? I was in the production office. I remember it vividly. Someone was like, you won't believe what's going on right now. And they basically said, oh my God, Shandy's having sex with someone in the shower, one of the male models.
Certainly myself had absolutely no idea until it aired, which was kind of shocking. I tell people that all the time, that they kept us very separate from the storyline that was sort of unraveling behind the scenes, in large part so that we wouldn't be swayed as judges. If I had been there, I personally would have intervened. I'm a father of a 17-year-old girl, and quite frankly, regardless of whether you're a father or not, it's simply the civil thing to do. Now, reality television...
So it sounds like there was a lot of separation between, it sounds like what the judges kind of was in on and then what they were knowledgeable about, and including like the storyline of things. We also heard earlier in the interview that when it comes to the taping and the filming of things, it was like, baby, whatever happens on film, we keeping it. Like, that's going to be a part of the material and we're going to move forward with it for the show. So there was no, we're going to stop, we're going to, have a level of care. So the level of care wasn't there specifically for this particular situation. But let's continue on with the interview.
Is not always known for being civil or for, perhaps doing what's right. And they took a creative decision and a production decision to let this roll. And sort of legally, they were within their rights because that's what everyone had signed up for.
Signed up to have your entire life shown.
And so if you basically have a train wreck, they will film the train wreck. They won't stop the train wreck because someone's going to get hurt in the train wreck. And I think that is a big piece of that.
We treated Top Model as a documentary. And we told the girls that on day one, no matter what happens, while you're on camera, we're going to document all of that.
Have you had a chance to speak?
So we heard one of the producers. So that wasn't one of the judges. I believe that was like one of the behind the scenes, maybe like producers. And he had some dealings, of course, with the show, and he just said it like it was. He said they didn't sugarcoat it with the girls. They basically let them know this is basically a documentary. We're treating America's Next Top Model as such. And so we keeping all the footage. It is what it is.
With Shandy since it's all happened? Or
Actually, Shandy and I have always remained in touch. I've photographed her several times since America's Next Top Model. She's a smart woman and has taken control of her life.
Tyra's lips were also sealed when it came to her falling out with creative director Jay, who claims Tyra stopped speaking to him when he tried to quit the show after season 8.
Can we talk now about what happened with you and Jay?
I'd prefer. I should call Jay. I don't want to do this here. Yeah.
the first...
So it sounds to me like Jay Manuel and Tyra still have some unfinished business. You heard when the producer asked or whoever the person was that was asking the questions from the documentary asked Tyra, "Hey Tyra, what happened between you and Jay?" She did not even answer. She was like, basically, I need to call him. One of those things where it's like, listen, I'm not finna talk to y'all about this when I have not even talked to him about this, and I should pick up the phone and actually call him. So that was nice for her to take responsibility. But my question is she actually going to ultimately do it? I also didn't realize that this was actually filmed, about a year ago? Yeah. And since then, I know Tyra has made some, just some great appearances. She also was on Today with Jenna and Friends before Jenna secured Chanel as the official co-host for the show. And Tyra served as a co-host as well. And that was the episode in which she celebrated her mom. And when I did when I did the commentary on Tyra in the previous episode, I actually talked about that, and I will link that in the show notes. Let's keep it moving.
Time I saw the documentary, honestly, her reaction, it made me chuckle. For me, it was no surprise because she has made a pointed effort to not speak about me in the press. What's very telling about her reaction is it's the first time I saw her in the doc respond without this prepared answer. We got to see a bit of a break in the personality, Tyra.
One of the most emotional revelations.
So that was Mr. J, of course, Manuel, and he basically explains the fact that was the first time he'd seen, I guess, sort of a response regarding him. But it is noticeable that she don't talk about him even in the past. Like once whatever happened between the two of them happened, it sounds like they have not spoken since. But also, Tyra was like, I'm going to keep your name out of my mouth kind of thing. Like Nene told Andy. Let me stay focused. What's coming up right now is, though, the state in which Mrs. J is in, which is, by Mrs. J, I mean, of course, Mrs. J Alexander. I'm going to see you walk, right? Teaching all the models how to walk. So let's take a listen.
In 2022, runway coach / judge Jay Alexander, a.k.a. Miss J, was in a coma for 5 weeks after suffering a stroke. Tyra didn't visit him in the hospital, but Jay and Nigel did.
Now, I will admit to you, I had no idea that Mrs. J actually ended up having a stroke. This is news to me. And they say it happened back in 2022, and it's 2026 as of right now. I know they say that they did the documentary about a year ago. I know that the state of him, it actually has improved. However, with that being said, let's hear the state that he was in when he actually did the interview with Entertainment Tonight.
I taught Mars how to walk, and now I can't walk. Not yet.
Well, Jay is getting stronger every day. He does physical therapy every day. He can get out of that chair. That's what people don't know. At the time of the documentary, he couldn't. He can. He can take steps. And look, if anyone is going to walk again, it's Miss J.
There's no stopping Miss J. I mean, the reality is that Miss J has still got that spark. I remember visiting him in the actual hospital, and he couldn't move. He was completely paralyzed and lying there, and only half his face could move, and one eye. And I said something to him. I'm like, oh, good. You can't move. That means that I can really take advantage of you now. And he looked at me with his one eye, and he opened it. And he rolled his one eye, and I'm like, okay, you're still there. I can see if you're able to still roll that one eye of yours. I'm like, we're gonna get you back.
Despite all the backlash Tyra's receiving from Reality Check, which is streaming now on Netflix, she dropped this hint for a potential comeback.
You have no idea what we have planned for Cycle 25.
She is currently actively trying.
Tyra not only went on the documentary to talk about her experience, do some apologies, she determined that she's going to come back with a final cycle. Well, I don't know if it's the final cycle, but cycle season 25, and what a cycle to actually end on. So it's interesting. And with the mixed reviews that, I think a lot of people are getting, I wouldn't say mixed reviews. People mad at Tyra. They still think that she's a tyrant. They still didn't feel like she treated the girls well, in spite of the fact that she gave apologies. And that's something else. Like, are we going to forgive? You know what I'm saying? Like, when people actually do take responsibility and they throw in an apology, like, are we kind of like, yeah, but are you, we don't accept no apology. We don't believe you. We still going to throw it in your face. And we probably have all been there, hopefully it wasn't no situation like this, but I think we've all been there, depending on the situation, and where you were in your life. And if you haven't been there yet, honey, like my grandma tell me, or has told me in the past, just keep on living. Let's keep it moving. It's almost done, y'all.
To pitch it. So she wants to make it a reality.
Do you think the show can really come back ever in 2026?
No one has called me, and no one's called the Jays, from what I've heard from either of them. Without the three of us, good luck.
All right, so we basically heard that. We heard from the three main primary judges. The only one that to me was kind of missing actually was Janice Dickinson. It would have been nice for, to hear her side of things, even if she's not on good terms with, Jay Manuel and Nigel Barker, and Mrs. J, even if she's Miss J, even if she's not on, good terms with them, it would have been nice to hear, her POV. And if I missed something and maybe she did give a POV and I didn't see it, y'all please drop it down below in the comments and let me know, right? Yeah. Again, when it comes to America's Next Top Model, there's a lot more to unpack than probably what I've unpacked here. But I did unpack a little bit more in my commentary that I did either yesterday or like the day before yesterday. Again, I will link it in the show notes, y'all. As a reminder, here at the Critic Chronicles, our goal is to provide quality but juicy content from websites, digital magazines, and tabloids, most of which are sourced from our public libraries. Research from the National Library of Medicine showed that there are an estimated 17,000 public libraries nationwide, totaling 4 million visits each day. Public libraries are civic organizations that are committed to providing invaluable resources beyond books that are free and open to the public. Get your library card to access thousands of resources today. For access to any of the episodes on my YouTube channel, just browse it. And don't forget, y'all, we are hosting Blog Month in honor of Black History Month, and we'll release a video every day in the month of February 2026. We're also using this as a kickoff to 1,000 subscribers, so tell a critic of a critic to subscribe. Baby, 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 baby. Also, be sure to subscribe to our backup channel, Hey Critics, also linked in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in to the Critic Chronicles YouTube channel, where you get commentary, reviews, and tabloid news. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.